What am I to do?
Welcome to RazorBranding Podcast with Jackie Russo. To learn more about how to improve your brand, visit brandrusso.com.
Hi, this is Jackie Russo. Welcome to RazorBranding Podcast. I am thrilled and honored to have with me today Katie Culbert of the Wild Child Wine Shop, and we are going to talk about all things wine, raising kids, a small little baby one for her and 4 great big ones for me, and surviving a small business opening during a closing of a pandemic. So Katie, welcome to the show.
Hi.
Hi,
Yeah,
how are you
hi.
doing?
Good. Hello.
All right, so we were trying to figure out right before we went live how long I've known you or we've known each other. I would have sworn you were like 6 or 7 when we first met. I felt like you were so young, but it was
too.
97, so you were in high school, right?
I was in high school. I was probably 15, driving. Yeah.
All right. So you were just younger. Maybe I felt so much more mature because I had lived in Los Angeles.
Yeah. So you just moved back from Los Angeles? How
I
long
did.
were you there?
I left in the spring of 92 and moved back in the fall of 97, so 6 years.
Yeah. Were you married?
No, I hadn't even met Michael yet.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Yeah, no, he was in Seattle. We did not know of each other. And so your mom is the reason I was able to come home. She had opened AKA and had this, awesomely successful advertising agency. And Joni Hill introduced us. And that's how I got the interview. She, at the time, was on Exchange Place. She had that little office off a Pinhook, kind of like by Blue Dog. I never worked in that office.
I
actually came home for a friend's dad's funeral and interviewed the same day as the funeral. So I was dressed not in my normal t-shirt and jeans and got the gig, flew back to LA, packed my stuff and moved back. In the meantime, they had moved to the office on St. Mary.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. That little office behind Blue Dog. That was cute. I remember that. Yeah.
I saw it for 5 minutes during the interview and then never went back there again. Were you involved in the remodel of the St. Mary office? Because I know there was a story about a glass brick wall that seemed kind of momentous.
Oh, like what's building that? Oh,
I think so.
Well, I don't really remember. I remember like loving those glass bricks so much. Like I was obsessed. And there's some at Don's, right, that's closed now. I don't know what they're going to do with that. But yeah. And so I think my mom, because I was so obsessed with that, she like facilitated building that big wall for the conference room. That's so cool. I wonder if that's still there. Probably not.
Oh, that would make me sad. I took my my first agency profile picture in front of that glass brick wall because I loved it so much.
It's so cool. Why don't people use that anymore?
I don't know. We need to bring it back.
Yeah.
Are there any glass brick walls in the wine shop at Wild Child?
No, but that's something we should consider when we move stuff around, maybe. No glass brick walls. We have one just like fake wall right here to hide the back, but it's pretty simple.
Right.
Yep.
So you are awesomely successful working at Kiki. You're married to Denny, who's an incredible photographer, sought after around the country. And you thought, I think I should open a wine shop in the middle of a pandemic. Was that the dinner table conversation?
Yeah. Well, we didn't know it was going to be a pandemic. Definitely not. But I guess like for years and years, we had this little idea. I was like, I want to open a little wine shop. And at first it was really just my thing. And Denny was so busy with his thing with photography. And then, we looked at spaces downtown before I was pregnant. We considered spaces downtown before I was pregnant. And then I got pregnant and then wine became the least of my concerns for a while. And then when I had the baby, it became a big part of my life again, magically. But also, we just, we would always talk about wine for a while. And I mean, it's been going on for years. So we looked at all these other spaces and then we realized like Denny has this space. He's had it for almost 4 years now. And he has extra room. We needed to create a storefront anyway. We felt like we were doing a disservice to downtown by not making this precious little space, this building, more of a storefront for the whole neighborhood. So that was how we decided to do it here and just do it. It wasn't a big risk. We already had the lease. We were already paying, for it anyway.
Right.
So it was pretty easy.
Yeah, you make the point about the storefront, and I think that's important. We have, or at least I have, storefront guilt because I have two sides between Polk
Yeah.
and East Congress that I think should be thriving, fun retail spaces where people can walk by and stop in and buy stuff. You can't really stop in and buy a logo, and so
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
some point, I envision my building getting taller, and my office would move up with it, so somebody can
Wow.
have the ground floor. Wouldn't that be cool?
That would be so cool. I could see that.
Right?
It's a great space. It would be perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
makes perfect
especially
sense.
festival time. I have lots of
Yeah,
storefront guilt. I need to
you're
have
right on
storefront.
that. You're
Yeah.
right. I know it was the same with us. I mean, this was Denny's photography studio slash workspace, like office, and it was just a mess of equipment and lights set up and just cords everywhere. And didn't people would look in, it didn't make any sense. And there's a lot of windows, so
Right.
we need to do something about that. So
Yeah.
yeah,
No, unless he was going to start the new, was it called Olin Mills Photo Studio, where people would just
yeah,
stop by and take their post pictures.
that's
Unless he's
like
going to
yeah,
do that, I think this is a much better use of space. So
yeah,
you specialize in natural wines, right?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that. I'm not a big wine connoisseur, so I need you to educate me.
Yeah, it's a really simple idea, but sometimes I feel like trying to explain it gets jumbled. But we started drinking this wine and didn't realize what we were drinking until we found out that there is kind of a term for it, natural wine, which is nothing new. It's the oldest way to make wine because it's basically just grapes in the bottle, fermented grapes, nothing more. So nothing added, nothing taken away. So when you talk about natural wine, you're talking about these very small winemakers that are farming organically and biodynamically most of the time. So there's nothing touching the grapes in the field. They're just growing naturally on the vines. No irrigation, just very simple, but also hard, I guess, to do. But that's one side of it. And then the other side is not adding anything in the winemaking process. So obviously no flavors or chemicals to enhance it or to stabilize things, no outside yeast to start the fermentation process, which to us is kind of like the big one. Like a lot of bigger wineries, big wine companies, they use these yeasts to start fermentation, which kind of homogenizes the wine. When you're making wine on such a large scale, it's kind of like you have no choice. So there's nothing wrong with that. That's just the way you produce a lot of wine at once, I guess. So we believe that, you want to, by not adding all these things, you're really letting the grape express itself fully, like to a T, like from where it's from, and really just picking up whatever's in the environment where it's grown and in the air around it. So it's a simple process, and it's nothing new. And you probably drank natural wine. Anyone that's drank a lot of wine at some point has drank it and not known. It's just been, no one's put a label on it and called it that. And no one really does put a label on it. It's just the way it is.
Right.
So yeah.
The interesting thing to me then would be that does it affect the tannins? Does it affect how you're going to feel the next day? Is it any impact like that?
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of people ask, the big question is, oh, it doesn't give you a hangover.
That's what I was trying to get to.
there's less sulfites, like for sure. Like there's already naturally occurring like sulfur in wine, but like this is going to have a lot less than anything you're going to buy from the grocery store. It just is, because nothing's produced on a big scale to try to stabilize what's going on in the bottle or make it taste a certain way or whatever is done in that world. But so you're not, there's a lot of things that aren't added. So, I mean, I try to tell people, like, it's still alcohol, there's alcohol, but usually it's lower ABV than most wines, but still alcohol. But like, you're not getting, if you eat a bag of like processed food versus like a whole food, you feel better when you eat those whole foods. And that's kind of how I can relate to it. It's like less processing, less additives, less whatever goes into any food or wine or whatever versus like just like the whole food. So,
Right.
You're drinking whole wine, I guess.
Which I love that idea. And I would imagine that for people who know a lot about wine, they're really going to love it. So they can come by and you all can guide them on making the right choices. And then when people who don't know anything about wine, like me, if I want to stop by, is Denny going to be able to give me some recommendations for the novice to help me not be so
Yeah,
intimidated?
I think so. And I think like our advantage is we're by no means like, I mean, I guess now we're sort of wine professionals because we have a wine shop, but we were just wine enthusiasts. We were traveling and drinking wine and loving it, but we have no special background in restaurants or wine industry, anything. But so we're learning too. Like we're novices too in a way. We're just like excited for more people to drink this wine and discover this wine with us. So I think we're definitely have that, like we're able to relate to people. We're not talking big words. I mean, the more and more we know, or more and more we drink every day, we're learning more. But we certainly are like just trying to learn just like everyone else is. So
Right.
it's fun that way.
Well, pre-pandemic, which I feel like everything is, before and after COVID. I know Michael went in to get some wines, and Denny was awesome. He was pulling bottles off the shelf. Michael was getting these little private tastings because he had something at Ruffino's during a cooking experience,
Oh
and
yeah.
he wanted that exact same thing. And y'all didn't have that exact same bottle, but as Michael described the flavor profile of what he had had in Baton Rouge, Denny was able to find something that was very similar that Michael ended up liking even more.
Yeah. Well, it's great. Yeah, good. I know. I think Denny is really like tuned in to like dialed into tastes, and like he can really help people like more, I have a lot of retail experience, but he has none, and he's really good at this, like because he's really excited about it, and he cooks a lot and he's tasting things, he's around chefs a lot. So I think that all plays into like how you can understand what's going on in the bottle. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
Well, I like how understated you just said, like I have some retail experience. Hello, Kiki's one of the greatest shops in town,
Huh,
Lafayette
yeah,
and
yeah,
Baton Rouge. So
yeah,
let's
thanks.
talk about that. So that's kind of your retail beginnings, right?
Yeah,
You were involved
completely.
in Kiki from the beginning.
From the
Literally
beginning.
the human and the store you were involved
Right.
in
Yes.
from the beginning.
Forever, my whole life. It's Kiki. Hmm.
So talk about that catalyst. Like how did, y'all are just sitting around the dinner table one day and think we're going to open the greatest retail experience for women in Lafayette?
Yeah. Well, not at all. It was never my intention to, I didn't study like merchandising at school or fashion or know anything about that. I was on my way to be a stockbroker, financial advisor, like my dad. So that was kind of my path. And I was living in the West Coast. I was living in San Diego, and my mom's like, while she was in advertising, started this tiny little shop inside of Molly down in the
Right?
oil center, 500 square feet. She had like books and a little bit of jewelry and some candles and like things that she really liked. And it was just this little nook. It was very cute. And the more, I don't know, half a year went by, and I started going to market for her in LA and meeting with designers or going to these shows and kind of trying to understand it from that end a little bit. And then I was going to move back, and we were going to open a store in New Orleans. And then Katrina hit, like in the process of me transitioning back to Louisiana. So I think it had been open about a year, and like I really kind of got into it. And so instead of moving back to New Orleans, like I'd planned, I moved back to Lafayette, which is the greatest like gift. I thought I'd never move back to Lafayette. Knew I'd move back to New Orleans. I went to college in New Orleans. Like loved New Orleans. I was gonna move back, and I got detoured here and never left. And I'm so happy I did. Like I love Lafayette, and I love having a business here and making another business here. And it's so I moved back, and a year after I moved back, we opened like the Kiki in River Ranch. And River Ranch was brand new. We were the first store right there. So it was all happening at once.
Well, and it ties in nicely because your mom's agency, when I was working there, did the marketing to launch River Ranch. So it
Oh
only
gosh, I
makes
remember
sense.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right? I mean, I remember sitting at a boardroom table naming streets one day,
Yeah. Wow. How fun.
right?
Yeah. That's like,
And
what a great job.
I think Michael feels this way, and I know I feel this way, and it sounds like you feel this way, that sometimes you have to leave someplace to realize how much you love it and come back
Yeah,
to it.
absolutely. I mean, and San Diego was a great experience, but I put on a pedestal like and maybe you did too, like Southern California. It's SoCal. It's like the coolest place on earth to, someone fresh out of college when you just look at the country as a whole. And it was great. It was cool. It was very cool. But like, so is Lafayette. So is Louisiana. So is everywhere. And I realized that we have we have the same, we have stuff going on here too. And it was moving there to realize that it's not all about SoCal.
Yeah, I mean, literally cool in terms of the temperature weather on a day like today. I do miss the LA weather a little bit.
Man,
Just a bit.
San Diego was so incredibly beautiful. It was like boring. Like you wanted that rainstorm. You wanted some kind of like nastiness. So there's that. I mean, I would give San Diego weather right now, but like, yeah, I mean, but there was like, I missed a little bit of that funkiness too. So.
Well, I think if you wake up every day with the ocean right there and the mountains right there and the perfect weather, you don't appreciate it as much. And so for me, being away from it now, when I go to vacation somewhere that's got gorgeous weather, I appreciate it every minute I'm there. And then I'm glad to come right back to home because I like everything here every day.
Yeah, sure. Me too.
Well, and it's about making the most of it. So you move back, you've got Kiki going, you meet Denny, and then y'all produce Kit, the most amazing child of all time. Is she still hovering around in the background? Are we going to get an on-camera appearance? Okay.
They're walking around doing an adventure, or she calls it, she has a weird way, like venture. Yeah, they're doing a little adventure around downtown. They'll be back though. Yeah.
Okay, good. And so is she named for Wild Child or is Wild Child named for her?
Yeah, she is. She's the namesake of Wild Child. We call it Wild Child because of her, because we were calling her Wild Child. Yeah.
Right. Well, with
so
that
that's
hair.
how that all formed. Yeah.
I mean, anybody who has the privilege of following her on your Instagram knows that Kit Capri has the best hair of all time.
It's really good hair. Like it's the blonde. Yeah, and it's like the blonde I always wanted and tried all my life to get. I tell people that it's like all the dye that I put in my hair has seeped into her in my womb or something.
It's what we pay for. It's the hair we buy. She gets naturally. Yeah. That's what mine looked like when I was little. It just didn't stay that way.
Yeah, no, I don't know if it'll stay.
No. Yeah. So when did Wild Child officially first open?
So we opened our doors January 8th.
Okay.
So about 2 months before pandemic mode.
Right. So you're up, you're running, people are stopping in, and you're starting to build a presence, and then all of a sudden everything has to shut down and you're like, oh, but we just opened this business. I think about y'all, I think about Sugar Wolf Outdoor, I think about a lot of businesses that opened in the first quarter of this year. So what was your pivot like? How did y'all adjust? I mean, did you go to curbside delivery or what are you doing?
It was, in a way it was a nice way. It forced us to pivot in the best way, I guess. Like since we opened too fast. Of course, you're rushing to do everything like anyone would do. And, we wanted to have a website. We wanted to have, all these things in place that we never had a chance to do because we were just open, and it forced us to stop. Like, I remember it was our wedding anniversary, March 17th. And that's when they announced that it was like shut down. And we spent all night taking pictures of bottles and putting them on the website. And we said, okay, we're just going to go completely online. I mean, luckily Denny is savvy. He could take pictures. Like we were and our website, the whole thing was very easy, all things considered, just a lot of work. And and then it was kind of great. Like we were open for 2 months. We had enough of a buzz, like people knew who we were. And then when we went online, and we only were open 3 hours a day for pickups. And so everything was closed. We were just like a warehouse in here of wine, and 3 hours a day, you come pick up the wine that you ordered online. And it was awesome. Like people needed wine, people that were meaning to come downtown, but live across town and don't want to drive. Like they had all the time in the world now to do that. Like it was really good and a good way for us to really like sit back and refocus on our business and organize things and learn about the wine, and instead of just drinking it, like really talk about it more. And it was a good pivot. Yeah.
That's awesome. Joan Broussard says, love the name. Can't wait to go by. Drove by last week just to see the storefront. Precious. Sure, Joan
Thanks.
Broussard.
Thanks, Joan Broussard.
And Jessica Hauerwas says, I have a little wild child of my own. It's quite a ride being a mom of a little one and also trying to succeed in business. What are your secrets? How are you balancing all of it? Because you're still working for Kiki, you're working for
Yeah.
Wild Child, you're raising a wild child.
Yeah.
You got to support Denny and all of his adventures. So how do you do all that?
I mean, luckily our schedules are very flexible, and I think a lot of people probably have a lot more. It's the way their lives are made. It's a lot harder. They have more kids. They have a job that they can't just, bebop around from. But I mean, luckily with the help of my mother, with Kiki, thank goodness, Kit's the only grandchild. So, I mean, my mom is obsessed and will never, ever, ever be sick of taking care of her. So, I mean, I have my mom, I can bring Kit to work with me. That's like another advantage. It doesn't mean I get anything done, but I bring her to Kiki, I bring her here, and we just chase her and pick up after her. But at least I'm here too. And then Denny, I mean, through all this stuff, Denny's business as a food photographer obviously has quieted down quite a bit since March. So he's had more time to be here than we thought he would, which was kind of a blessing. And, and good, because this is a source business that, while his business is pretty much like barely existing, this one is thriving a little bit. So it's balancing out like everything a little, our time and funds stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
So when I think about his business, though, obviously incredible photographer, and we've gotten to work together on a number of projects over the years, and I respect his talent immensely. Did he jump onto the portraiture trend that a lot of photographers were doing and do a lot of front porch stuff while people were in quarantine?
No, I mean, we had the honor of being photographed by Leanne, which was so sweet, and I loved it. Yeah. But no, he didn't do, I mean, we were so focused on this business. It's been like, well, I'll say this business, and then he has his other quarantine project of baking bread and pizza, which maybe you've seen on his Instagram. He has a whole nother Instagram dedicated to it now. And we're also have pizza nights here. So that's been his portraits or pizza.
Good. Well, I was hoping you would talk about the pizza nights. So you started out this really great wine shop. You've done this pandemic pivot now because Denny's become this master bread breaker. So how are the pizza nights working out? Do I come by, I grab a slice, I grab a bottle, I go? I mean,
yeah, you go. I mean, we're not letting anyone drink or eat inside. We have tables outside. It can be hot, but it's cooling off a little bit. So you can get a bottle of wine and we'll open it for you here. You take it outside. We're not like pouring it for you or anything just because of stuff, or you can take it to go with your slice. So you get a free slice of pizza with every bottle purchased. It's been his way to experiment and like learn how to scale up a bit. And I mean, he's getting really good at it. So it's pretty fun. I mean, hopefully when we go back to being more of a bar in here, we have a license to sell on premise as well as off premise. But right now we have the bar closed that, you can eat the pizza in here, or whatever, hang out, pour a glass of wine. But right now it's just outside.
Will he become a master charcuterie maker right after this? Because that's what I'm coming for.
Yeah. Well, little secret, Robert Ote at the Super Ed has been doing some really interesting things.
Really?
He's got his thing going on, and he brought Denny some stuff, and it's pretty cool. So if anyone's going to be doing it, it's Robert. So
I feel like
we might see a collab.
Groundbreaking news. We're just announcing right now the launch of some awesome new downtown thing.
Yeah. I don't know. You should get him on here. He would be great. Yeah.
That is a great suggestion, actually. I'm going to reach out to him as soon as we're done. So Kiki Freyard is watching and says, Katie is in the process of buying Kiki, so now I actually work for her.
Oh, thanks, Kiki.
Is this another breaking news we've got?
Yeah.
What the heck?
I mean, it's been an ongoing process, but we always talked about that. I mean, we've run the business together. I mean, obviously it kind of started out as her project, her idea, her vision. It's Kiki. It's so much it is Kiki. But I mean, we've been partners in it since the beginning, and I think, it's my mom says, she knows that eventually we're both not going to be there every day. So I need to take the reins more, and it'll be mine, or
Right.
it is mine. So yeah,
That's awesome.
and she wants to, just stay home with Kit, so it's good. But
So
she'll always be there too.
you basically just made a play date buddy for her. That's what you did. Like you just
Yeah,
created this person for her to have play dates with all the time.
pretty much. It's a lot of that. It's amazing to watch both of my parents like interact with Kit. It's like, I mean, there was a time where Denny and I thought maybe we don't have kids. I don't know. I think I always knew in the back of my head I would have kids, or a kid. So, I'm just so glad I did. If for one reason it's just to see the joy on their faces, it's like, and the life, it's amazing. It's amazing.
That is awesome. I can only imagine Rick on the ground, crawling around playing with her. I bet it is a sight.
It's wild. Like she's obsessed. She's obsessed. He's obsessed. They were swimming. It's really sweet. I'm so lucky that I have them and that they're here and just involved. It's awesome.
Yeah, you wouldn't get that in San Diego.
No. Oh, how it wouldn't last. Yeah,
no, not
they
at
would
all.
have moved there probably.
Right. So as you take over the reins at Kiki, what is your plan next steps? We're Lafayette, we're Baton Rouge. Is there an expansion? What are you thinking?
With Kiki?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think what we're doing right now is it's great. Like we've stayed busy. I think we're kind of honing in on certain brands and like really getting focused. Like for a while we tried to kind of have all kinds of jewelry and all different price points, and we've realized like we just want to focus on the designers that we truly love and sell those, because that's what we do sell. And so we're kind of, if anything, we're weeding out a little bit of stuff. Also, this quarantine has really opened our eyes to how to be more of an online presence with a brick and mortar. How those two, I think it made me really think like no one's really figured that out yet. When the websites came along, everyone thought this is the end of brick and mortar, and like that's not true. Like we absolutely still need stores and but we need both. Like, so I think every store that is a brick and mortar needs to have a robust website to drive people into the shop or drive people that come in the shop online and vice versa, and also be like, pandemic ready, so people can order something online, pull up, you drop it off. There's so many, like we've it's opened our eyes to a whole new way to do business, and not just fling open our doors at 10 a.m. every day for 8 hours and sit there and hope people come in, but really engage with people online as well. And so there's a lot of that focus too right now.
Well, and I feel like y'all have done that well, but I also think you've done social media well. I think you do a good job of showcasing the pieces and really inviting people who wouldn't ordinarily get a sense of who the designers are or the collections that you're carrying. And so I'm sure part of that's because Denny's a great photographer, but you and Kiki obviously have, I know Kiki's marketing background is so exceptional. That comes through, but not in a bad way, like people who overdo it. It's very genuine and real and natural. So kudos on that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. For the record, Denny does not take any of our Instagram pictures.
Really?
That's all mostly the girls at the shop. Kat, our manager, and Lafayette, and Sydney, and Kristen. And so we all pitch in. They send me their pictures and then I Instagram them.
Well, then I have not been giving mental credit to the right talent, because they are exceptional. They do a great job.
Thank you. I'll let them know.
Yeah, absolutely. So walk me through kind of this naming thing, because you threw me for the loop. I got to tell you, right before we went live, I have spent all this time under the impression that Kit's actual name is Catherine and that she's the fourth of her line. And now I am stunned. I don't know how the rest of your family felt about it, but I am a little heartbroken. I didn't, and I guess I never intended to name her Catherine. I think one reason I grew up with a mom and because I work with my mom, and for a while I was Catherine Frayard and she was Catherine Frayard, and we're flying on a plane together. We're doing these things together, and it was just too confusing. Like, that's too confusing when your legal names are the exact same name. Like, no. So I knew I wasn't going to name her after me.
And then Kit came along because we liked the name. And at first we thought it had to be short for something because it just sounds like that. But why? We were like, no, yeah, we'll just call her Kit. Yeah.
All right. Well, if Nancy and Kiki are okay with it, I guess I can get behind it too.
Yeah.
But your grandmother gave me the greatest compliment of all time in
Oh, yeah.
1990. I think it was early 98, but it could have been late 97. I'm not going to remember the exact day. She she called me Bubbles. And at first I thought it was
weird.
Well, let me preface it.
Maybe I can hear that coming out of her mouth. I don't know. Okay.
Well, at first
Continue.
I thought she was indicating that I had a future on the stage, and that was going to be my stripper name. And then I realized it's because she thought that I was effervescent and had all of this energy. And at the time, remember the little stuffed animals with the tags, the red heart tags on them?
Beanie Babies?
Beanie Babies. There was a Bubbles Beanie Baby.
Yeah.
Hold on. This one is named Bubbles. And your mom gave it to me. And
that
Nancy
probably
said,
worth a lot.
It probably is, but I would never.
not,
I mean,
no.
it's literally, that's how close it is to me, is it sits on that
Wow.
bookshelf right by my desk all the time. And so Nancy started calling me Bubbles, and I just loved it. And so this is the Bubbles Beanie Baby that your mom gave me to commemorate it.
I didn't know that. I love that.
Yeah, no, she's the best.
My grandmother does not dish out compliments, so that's sweet. Yeah, that's good.
And I know that, and I have kept that right here for a long time. That's a big one
cool.
for me.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
So one of the things that I've always been amazed by from a marketing perspective is Garyvee's story, right? So he does all these crazy videos for his family's liquor store in New Jersey. He's on YouTube. He's shouting, 4-letter expletives, which I don't imagine you going down that path. But as I think about the knowledge and education y'all have gained from learning about all these wines and then the experiences that I hear people talk about all the time going in, what are you thinking about? I mean, are there wine classes? Are there tastings in the future when we can gather that way again?
Yeah. We are definitely trying to talk about that. We were actually talking about how to do more of like a Zoom or Insta Live sort of class thing. Like I said before, the good thing, or maybe the bad thing is like we're not super wine professionals. So it would have to be in this context of like we're all in learning together, or bring someone else in that, bring, if the winemaker could come down, or someone that is a super professional to come really talk about the wines. Cause I feel like, it would just be silly for someone to pay money or come along and me tell you all about the wine. I mean, I can tell you about the wine, but to get the most out of an experience like that, it would be nice to have like a true professional. But we do talk about like, having these Insta Live things where everyone come buy a bottle, this new bottle, and then we'll all drink it on Instagram together and share our thoughts, or do it here when we can, or I don't know.
Right.
Something like that.
I love that. And to me, it takes the stuffy pretentiousness out of the wine buying experience that you might get from, the venter that's been doing this for generations and speaks about oaky tannins and so far over people's heads. Because y'all are tasting it and learning it and doing it as you go. I think that makes it very comfortable for people who don't know what they're doing either, to be like, okay, well, let's figure it out. And I love that.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, it's so fun just to have people come in that, I don't think we're converting, hardcore wine drinkers that have their wine cellar. I mean, they drink the wine, they know so much about wine. They drink the wine that they drink. We're not expecting those people to come into our shop. At the same time, we're not expecting the person that's buying the same bottle of Chardonnay from the grocery store to come in our shop. But I think there's like this world of like kind of all ages. We have a lot of young customers, but older too. I mean, my age and older than that, coming in to that are just kind of like new to wine, like excited about it because they haven't experienced wine truly. They've just drink it as an afterthought. And so we're getting a lot of these like new fun people that are excited about it the way we are. They're just, they're new, and so are we. So it's all fun.
Well, and I think that's the cool of it, is figuring out all that stuff together. Does Alfredo still work with y'all?
Yes. Yeah. He's been with this shop since day one. Like, we started talking about it a couple months before we opened, and he was like, look, if y'all want help, I want to help. And it worked out perfectly because he used to work with us at Kiki when we first opened. And he worked with us for a while, but that was like 10 years ago. So it's really nice just like have him in my daily life again, you know.
That's awesome. So he and Michael were in show choir together way back in the
Oh,
day.
wait, did I know that? I don't know.
No.
Maybe, I don't think so. Yeah, no,
And then he was
Alfredo's
working
amazing.
with Erica Badu for a while, right?
Yeah, and I think he does. I mean, he still goes and sees her. She's in Dallas, so he was in Dallas for a while. He's had an amazing life. Like his story is really cool. But he lived in Dallas for a long time, and then he moved back here, and that's when he worked with us at Kiki. He was taking care of his parents, and then I think he kind of bounced back to Dallas for a while, and now he's kind of back and forth, but mostly here. So he's an only child, and he's taking care of his father. So it's sweet. But no, Alfredo is the best. People come into the shop just to see Alfredo. Like they know it's very cool. Yeah.
I think we should set up like these 4 different fan clubs because some people are going to come just to see Kit, some to see Alfredo, some to see you, some to see Denny. We'll put y'all on the shelves just like the bottles.
Right.
You can pick and choose your favorites.
Cool. Yeah, we'll let people know when we're here. Yeah.
Exactly. So a little bit about kind of when you think about your entire career span, which has moved through so many different iterations and so many different locations, what has really been your favorite project? Not like opening a store, but on a smaller scale. What's that one thing you think, I'm so glad I had the opportunity to do that?
Oh, that's an interesting question. Well, I guess, we did those. This is like a love-hate relationship, but I look back on it and go, wow, we did that. Is the boucheries we did for Runaway Dish. That was something I never anticipated us doing. I, as a person growing up in Louisiana, didn't have that boucherie experience or background, or, I mean, I don't even think I had rice and gravy growing up as a child in South Louisiana, but somehow like my life led me to like gathering a bunch of chefs to do these boucheries, chefs from all over the country. It was a pretty cool experience, an exhausting experience, but that was really neat. Yeah. I look back on that
for the
fondly.
3 people who listen to this podcast outside of Acadiana, explain what a boucherie is.
Okay. A boucherie is basically a slaughtering of a pig where it's taken into different pieces, and you have different groups of chefs making, or people, like usually it's just people, making different dishes out of the different parts of the animal. So, there's someone's making sausage, and someone's making boudin, someone is making crackling and backbone stew, and there's like 8 or 9 different places all these things go to, and it's just like hanging out all day and a celebration, and it's a social experience, and it's also a way to really appreciate what this animal's what you get out of this animal and what it's giving you, and know where your food's from. Like really know where your food's from, and how buying meat wrapped in plastic at the grocery store is really sad because it comes from somewhere like special, and so you really like honor the whole process, and so I guess that's the best way.
Michael Ever, the producer, has looked up the official definition, which I liked your answer so well. But
Yeah,
this
that
is the
was probably
official one.
wrong.
No, I thought you did a great job,
Yeah.
and you got it all right. A boucherie, which translates to butchery, is a Cajun tradition, born of the time before refrigeration, when killing a hog meant you needed a crowd to feed it to. It's an event unique to South Louisiana. While hog killings have happened wherever hogs are raised, the end result is a contrast. And so I love the point that you make about really knowing where your food comes from, because now all of a sudden, it's not just that sense of I see it, I know it, I'm watching it being prepared, but it's that communal dining table too, where everybody's eating it together. And that's what I love about the Cajun culture. We do that so often, whether it's a gumbo or a crawfish boil or a boucherie. It's about everyone getting together and eating together.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And it's just, I mean, a lot of people say, oh, I could never watch that, or I don't want to see where my food, I don't want to see all that. Like, I just want a hamburger. But like, actually, just like I said, like seeing meat wrapped in plastic in the grocery store should be grosser, right? Like if you really think about it. So trying to really open people's eyes. So we had people from all over the country coming to that and kind of getting to experience that, which unfortunately we don't see where our meat comes from because we can't. And I mean, that's impossible, but to really remember that, I think is important, at least see it once.
And I think it's also, harkening back to our agricultural base here and knowing local farms and local farmers, which to me is full circle all the way back to natural wines.
Yeah.
So
That's
really, I
a
think you've
lot
been
to do
doing
with it.
this
Yeah.
the same thing the whole time, knowing
Yeah.
the designers and the collections and the artisans that you carry at Kiki. Everything it seems like you've done in your career has been really getting down to the true creators and giving them a platform to connect with the people who enjoy their creations.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, and I feel like there's a big shift in general. Like that's what people want, out of a product. They want a story. They want to know where it came from. You want to hear the story about this winemaker who said, he says he doesn't fertilize his grapes and said he just walks. The best fertilizer for his grapes is his bare feet in the field. It's like you want to know that that's what's happening and that's what you're getting inside this bottle. And yeah, it's but I think everything is kind of shifting to that way.
So we've spent a lot of time talking about the successes and all the amazing things that y'all have done in your career and careers collectively. Tell me one that didn't go right. Something that you're like, oh, I thought that was going to work out a lot better. What happened there?
I know there's something. Yeah, I mean, I think we had a lot of, I don't know.
It's okay. It's not a real job interview, so you don't have to answer the question to get the job.
I mean, I feel like any like little failure, we've only like, tweaked it so that the next time we do it, it's better. I mean, there's been nothing like since I've opened Kiki, we've tried to do little things that don't work and like sell shoes. And then we're like, we're not a shoe store. Yeah, maybe that's our biggest failure, selling shoes. We'll never, ever do that again. So, but, and then you just realize we're not a shoe store. We shouldn't be. So, right. Yeah.
And I think that's what I love so much about this question is its perspective. So you've had things that haven't maybe worked out, but they're never failures, they're lessons, right? Because you either win or you learn. And so by taking that approach and saying, okay, well, we're going to try selling shoes. Oh, no, we are not selling shoes anymore. It's not a failure. It's a way to figure out what you're better at and where you should be heading. I love those life lessons because to me, they all roll together. In all of my careers, I've only been fired one time.
Yeah.
Rick Freyard. But no. Would I be sitting right here had that not happened? That set me on the path in the career. So no, I think that's the point is I could have taken my toys home and wallowed and thought my life is over or say, okay, what's the lesson? Where do I go next? How do I grow? And that eventually leads to us owning this place. So
and there you are having a podcast. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. I think and it's like, if we had never had shoes, we would still be sitting around going, should we have shoes? Like we would still be, should we sell shoes at Kiki? Like we would still be thinking about it until we did it and then failed. Or this wine shop. Like if we hadn't done this, we would still be talking about it. Like, and it would be so annoying. And, so we did it and it's only been January, so it might fail, but at least we did it,
Right. Well, and think about this though, if the shoes had been a success, and you've been so busy selling shoes, you wouldn't have had time to sell wine.
Yeah. And I'd much rather sell wine than shoes.
Right.
Yeah. Good point.
Right.
Good point. Yeah.
So as you look around the country at all of these companies that have done things, whether they're retailers like Kiki or they're wine stores like Wild Child, who do you watch and think, ooh, I like what they're doing? Like I get inspiration from their moves.
I mean, there's a lot of, there's definitely like this place. I just read the book. I read a whole book cover to cover of cookbook cover to cover. It's called La Bouvette. It's a little wine It's a wine shop, but mostly like a wine bar, a place to eat and drink in Paris. And like that was places like that are the inspiration for what we're doing. We just want to create like a little cave where you can sip wine and mingle with friends. It's kind of like your afternoon coffee shop. And that's something that exists in France. Like it's just everywhere. Those kind of little places where you can buy a bottle of wine, leave with it, drink it here, do whatever you want. So that's inspiring. There's a wine shop in LA called Helen's that's owned by, and these are all Lafayette and Helen's, both females. Helen is like not a like trained sommelier, but she is a sommelier for a bunch of restaurants in LA, and she opened up the tiniest jewel box of a wine shop. It's like, I mean, a fifth of the size of this shop. It's so cute and tiny. It's inside one of the restaurants, and her Instagram's great. Her like excitement about wine, like the way she talks about wine. She has a podcast. It's called Wine Face. It's cool. Like, you know, it makes wine relatable, and but she's also very much for like the natural wine movement, and wine being, you know, not this processed thing and not this homogenized commercial product, but an agricultural product, like we were saying before, because that's what it is.
Absolutely. Yeah. So do I sense that we're going to be embarking on some guided tours soon? Are you gathering a bunch of us up and we can travel? And maybe that's one of your next ventures?
That would be so great. I mean, that was the big, you know, Denny and I did this whole thing backwards, opening up a wine shop. Everyone asks, oh, have you been to these places? We haven't been to any of these places. So as soon as we can, that's our next goal, is to go visit these winemakers, you know, even if it's just going to California and Oregon to start. But but also going to New York and eating and drinking at these, you know, places that have inspired us too, for sure.
Yeah, I think that's a guided trip, and I know a lot of people who would buy the tickets. So you just let me know when you have the itinerary.
That's a good idea. Okay, we'll figure that out.
I mean, wouldn't that be fun?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like a little field trip. That. Yeah, I would love that.
It's a little field trip.
What advice would you give to the younger you?
Ooh, definitely be less shy. I was just, even in college, I just couldn't talk to people very well. Like I wasn't a recluse or anything, but man, and I don't know how to say that, not be less shy, because you just can't help it, but don't be afraid to speak up, I guess, is maybe the better way to say it. Like I couldn't ever jump into a conversation or participate in class or whatever it was. Like I couldn't do it. And I mean, I guess maybe having Kiki and being in front of people, it's like really made me change and be fine with it. And Denny too, like Denny was so shy. And even when I met him, and I think because of his business and having to just go meet people and take pictures, and now doing this, he's like, you know, we're both shy people that don't really come across as super shy like we used to be.
I would say
like
you
painfully.
Don't at all. You don't at all.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So, yeah.
What gives you hope?
Oh, well, definitely raising a child brings like all the hope into your bloodstream. It's amazing to watch like a little life be so, you know, curious and excited about everything. And like, when do we lose that? Like, or why do we lose that? I guess we have to, but how can, you know, that each time there's like a new child born, there's just like something great that's created that, you know, what will Kit do? Will she figure out how to get rid of single-use plastic, please? Like, you know, that's, you know, something, just, there's hope that, I guess, yeah, everyone says children are our future. And you definitely, like, yeah, you hear that, but when you have a child, like you see it. It's so cool. I had no idea.
Yeah.
So that gives me hope.
Caitlin Freyard's watching. She said Kit's the best. So I definitely think that single-use plastic thing might be, I mean, maybe by the time junior high, you know, if she could just take care of it by then, that'd be great.
Yeah, I know. Just save the world, Kit. Come on. Like,
right.
Yeah, we're going to work on that. Yeah.
So as someone who was, in your words, painfully shy, what advice would you give to this year's incoming freshmen who are starting a new school in a pandemic without the usual opportunities for socialization and meeting people? I mean, what would you tell them?
Wow. Yeah, I think That's so, I don't even, it's such a weird time. I mean, luckily everyone's more connected than I was in college. You know, there wasn't Facebook, there wasn't social media of any sort. I guess there was MySpace. I don't know, but either we were barely texting. Like texting was even weird. Like I would not bring my phone with me to go places because that was weird. Like that's wild. So I guess, like really, and this is still kind of one of my faults, as you might know, like just like when people call you, answer the phone or like respond and, just respond and communicate. Like communication will get you so far. Like I always do that. Like someone will call the Kiki and I'm like, I don't want to talk to them. And then I'm like, why? Just talk to them. Like it's so easy. Don't take a message and I have to call them back. And like, it's more of a hassle. And then it turns into something great. Like I'm doing this podcast and I should have answered your call.
I was going to say, so are you thinking about the fact that I've been asking you to do this for months?
Yeah. I mean, that's one example. So,
but I appreciate that you finally said yes. And so here we are.
Yeah. There we go. Yeah.
What do you say to yourself when you're in doubt?
Ooh, I get, this is new for me. Because I used to doubt myself a lot or like, I mean, not doubt myself a lot, but have doubt or get frustrated that something can't be done. And then it's such an easy fix when I realize like, I can just do it. Like whatever it is that needs to be, if I'm annoyed by the way something looks, like fix it, Katie. Don't just like meh about it. Like, or if I'm doubting that someone, something's not going to work out, like just do the thing. Why do I have doubt? Like fix it or be there or be present or focus on it more. I don't know. It's like, I have the ability to do so much within myself and I don't have to rely on other people. Like, or I don't know. Like, I think I would just rely like someone else is going to fix it for me. Or I'm aggravated with this and someone else will do it. Or I doubt this is going to work and I can do it. I don't know. Does that make sense?
It does. But so what's that little pep talk that you give yourself? I mean, is there a magic set of words? Do you go for a run? I mean, how do you get yourself into it?
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I think it's like kind of like a magic set of words, maybe like a little tiny meditation. Nothing like formal, but just fix the problem. Like what's the big deal? Like I feel like I sometimes block myself from doing things because I just get like stuck and I can just use a little more energy and do it. I don't know. Yeah. Maybe a run. I don't know.
I think we all do that though. Zach Barker's watching. He sends you a little heart.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. All my family members are watching.
Nice.
That's really sweet. Yeah.
Right. So what values do you live by? What are the big ones for you?
I think being a nice person. I think like just not being my biggest thing, and it's especially what I see in kids is like just like bullying and being mean. Like just don't be mean. Like let's all be just nice. That's like so big for me. And being helpful, which I guess could be considered nice, and also being generous. Like these are kind of all related maybe, but I think Denny's a good example, and I feel like I do this too. Like he's generous and giving, and like when people need help or need something, like we try to be there. And I think it just all that spreads the more you can do that. But just being kind and generous and helpful. Are those all the same? I don't know.
But they're all equally important.
Yeah.
What do you collect?
Ooh, well, my mom used to collect Pez dispensers, and now I have a bunch of those because she gave them all to me. We collect cookbooks for sure. We have an extensive we are obsessed with cookbooks, Denny and I both, for different reasons and same reasons. Cookbooks, yeah, that's a big one.
All right, that's good. What's your pettiest pet peeve?
Oof.
Mean people?
Mean people. There's a lot of Denny wanted me to start writing a list of these things, but I can't think of any right now. like, oh man, when, things like when the flight's about to leave and everyone gets hovers, like just sit down. Like, why are you all saying those kind of things? Just like get me crazed.
So other people's
Yeah,
impatience.
yeah, just sit back. But there's some other ones I can't think of them. But
The
that's a
list
good
would
one.
be good though. All right, so last card. This is the lightning
Okay.
round. Ready?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Favorite place on earth?
Ooh, home.
Okay. Movie
Yeah.
you can't turn off.
Oh, Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
That's the exact opposite thing I thought you were going to say.
Oh.
I was expecting some deep, insightful European foreign language film. I love that it's
No.
Pee-wee's Big Adventure. That's awesome.
I could turn those movies off probably. I don't know. Yeah.
TV show that you like to binge watch?
Ooh, so many. Lately, what did we just watch? The Politician. That was good.
How great is that?
It's good. Yeah, that was really fun. I had no idea.
If
That
you
was
get
so
a
fun.
chance to listen to Rob Lowe's podcast, literally,
Yeah.
Gwyneth Paltrow is on it and talks
Oh,
about
she's
making.
amazing.
Well, she was a client of
Yeah.
mine way back, and so
Oh.
you remind me so much of her physically.
Oh, cool. Thanks.
Hugest compliment I can
I'll
give.
take it. Yeah.
But so it's her making that with her husband Brad.
Oh, yeah.
Who is also
Cool.
Rob Lowe's boss on 911. And so
Okay.
it's fascinating to hear them talk about it kind of behind the scenes.
Oh, I'll have to listen. Yeah, that was so good. Yeah.
Favorite book?
The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Oh, that's a good one. That is a good one.
Kid's been watching the movie too. It's funny.
I bet.
Yeah.
Favorite podcast? What do y'all listen to?
Oh, Mark Maron.
Good one.
I just love it. Yeah.
Excellent. Favorite musician?
Sade.
Nice. What are you singing at karaoke night?
I think We're Alone Now. It's the only one I do.
Oh, that's a classic.
But only when Julie Bordelon's there, it makes me do it. So, yeah.
Favorite sport to watch?
Oh, beach volleyball.
Oh, good answer. Favorite meal or food?
Oysters on the half shell,
Okay.
raw.
I'm glad you did not feel compelled to say Denny's Pizza. I like that you ventured out.
No, and I mean, we won't get into it, but I used to not like pizza, but I mean, or not want pizza ever, but I've come around. So.
Interesting. Favorite leisure activity?
Bathing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that also your favorite way to treat yourself, or do you have something different for that?
A nice bottle of wine, maybe.
Nice tie in there. Good answer. And best concert you've ever been to?
Oh, that's a tough one. That's the toughest question. What would be, man? I saw The Police. That was good. That was memorable. Yeah.
Yeah, I
It
bet
was
so.
really good. Sting, yeah, it was good.
That's a
Although I wish
classic.
I'd seen Sting by himself too, but I never did. I don't know.
It's
Maybe
a
I will
whole
one day.
different set of songs, you
Yeah.
know? It's a very different vibe.
Yeah.
So that's been an hour and you survived it,
Oh, that was so fun.
right? You see,
great,
that's what I
yeah.
kept promising you in all of my stalkerish begging messages that I would make it fun. So I'm glad that's what you thought. What question do you wish I had asked and how would you have answered it?
Oh, that's a really hard question too. Oh, I don't know. Oh, does your mom drive you crazy at work? And I would have said no, never, ever, ever, ever.
Would you have had your
Not
fingers
anymore.
crossed under? Exactly. There we go.
No, but no, really, we've come a long way. I mean, of course, we drive each other crazy, but I feel like it's been a fun ride, so it's good. Yeah, we're in a good place. Yeah.
So you've worked with your mom, and now you've worked with your husband. Is one more challenging than the other?
Ooh, yeah, I think they're both pretty great. Now, I don't know how I could ever be partners with someone that I wasn't like in love with or, connected to so hard, because it does give you this dynamic that you could never have with even like a best friend. You can really say what you want, I think, which is good and bad. I'm sure you know. Yeah.
I do indeed, and it is
yeah.
both good and bad.
Yeah. But I think you get to the final result quicker. Maybe there's no like dancing around certain things.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
and I think your values and your goals are usually in alignment, and I think that's a big
Yeah.
part of, you have to be successful because you're both have skin in the game and you're in it together.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I could divorce him a lot easier than I could break up working with him. So
Yeah.
here we are.
It'd be a lot harder.
Still
Yeah.
together.
Exactly. There you go. Yeah.
Exactly. All right. So, thank you, Katie. I
Yeah,
appreciate
thank
your
you.
time and your intention and your energy. And I love Wild Child Wines, and I cannot
Oh,
wait to
thank
see what
you.
y'all are
Yeah.
doing next. And thank you for being a guest on the podcast. This has just been great. And to everybody that has watched and listened, we appreciate it. Please continue to subscribe and share with your friends and ask questions, because it's your role and involvement that makes this so much fun. So thank you all very much.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, Jackie.
Sure thing.